How are you doing today?
Good, good. I had an exciting day today. My name's Andrew Priestley. I'm a business coach. I specialise in leadership development. Even though we deal with the people issues and the business side, we actually work on the leadership piece here, and I do that globally. I grew up in Australia. My dad owned his own business. My mum worked in a large department store. We were allowed to do things like go door knocking. I sold salt and pepper shakers as a 7-year-old. I sold golf balls at a golf course when I was 6. All sorts of things like that. It was very, if you wanted pocket money, you had to go out and earn it. I was actually interested in jigsaw puzzles as a kid and drawing, right? And that actually, my aspiration originally was to be an artist, right? Graphic artist. And my parents said, you'll never make money from graphic art. That's never going to work. So I thought I'll go for a vet. Well, I didn't have the scores to get into a vet, but I went and did a marketing course. The businesses that I went into, they really built on the interests that I had. I was interested in reading. I was an avid reader as a kid. It always stumped me why people don't read and why they couldn't read. And that's what actually shaped and informed what I did at university. I actually majored in reading psychology, believe it or not. From there I started newspapers at university, and then I went and taught for 10 years. I had long service leave and started my own newspaper business. So I went back to Australia and I started this newspaper, and I was actually in competition with Rupert Murdoch, if you can believe that. Right? So I had 12 staff and he had, for the same job, he had 53 staff. It was really, really hard, and I was doing easily 7-day weeks, and I was probably doing 14-hour days. It just escalated, it took off like you would not believe. It was incredibly successful, but I was punching way above my weight. I'm up against Rupert Murdoch, right? And just a heads up, Rupert won, okay? So just so you know, right? I lost. It was financially very, very good, but it was so conflicted around values, right? So I had to do a lot of thinking around that, but the decision was actually quite easy when I actually said, now I've got to shut it down. The end result of that was that when I sold my agency, a mate of mine said, you make a good business coach, and that's how I got into business coaching. I'm thinking about, when I had my first business and I'd made the decision to shut it down and how that felt, it was not an easy decision. There's this massive long bridge, and I'm driving across this bridge, and when you're driving along and you start talking to yourself and you go, I'm an idiot. This is stupid, right? So I pulled over to the side, and when it was safe, I did a U-turn, and I'm going home. And I'm thinking about, my wife, my kids, but then I'm getting a little bit, but mate, you need the money. So I did a U-turn and I'm back up to the bridge, and then, mate, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, go home. So I did a U-turn, I'm going back down the highway, and I got another one, and money, it's money, money, money. No, family, 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 values, values. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I started a business for lifestyle reasons, and I had no lifestyle. So I'm thinking, well, that's crazy. And that really, for me, came to a head when I really came to a crossroads on values. Do I want the money more than I want family? And my family is the highest value that I've got. And the business I was running was just totally incompatible with that. And so shutting the business down was very quick. This is not working, close it down, find something that is family compatible. And I discovered then that a lot of people I work with, they're just not in touch with their values, or they deny their values, or they violate their values. And when you do that, I don't care how successful you are in the short term, long term, it catches up with you. It was all about the money. It was all about the transaction. Transact, right? There's some people I used to hang out with, if you shook hands with them, you'd have to count your fingers afterwards to see if you've still got them all. We tend to think entrepreneurialism is about making lots of money, right? But in actual fact, it's about adding value to the world, right? The reason why you're an entrepreneur is because you want to make a difference. For example, believe it or not, at the heart of it, I wanted people to communicate more effectively with other people. Through my experience in selling, I wanted my advertising to actually be authentic and actually honest. I was probably ahead of the curve there a little bit. So we actually told real live stories based around families and what families were trying to get done, which was totally different to how they normally spin advertising. I worked in an industry in real estate which when I actually started and trained in it, they're actually encouraging you to do things that, while they weren't illegal, they don't wash with ethics now. That was really based on getting people to buy properties that they didn't actually want, and that rubbed up against me so profoundly. If I had one bit of advice for entrepreneurs today, I would spend a lot of time examining what your skills and talents are, and not just the obvious ones, but really dig deep. For example, I loved jigsaw puzzles as a kid. I had a passion for that. And the work I do today is just like a jigsaw puzzle. It's putting the pieces together to make an amazing picture, right? And I was passionate about that. So find out what you're good at, find out what you're passionate about. For me, I believe in business success. I'm not allergic to money, and you shouldn't be if you're an entrepreneur. But think about, what am I going to do with that reach? What am I going to do with that influence that I've got? So influence is a big thing. Relationships, value, all of those are important. Two big lessons is that in business, rarely, there's no such thing as all of a sudden for a start off, right? You always get a heads up when something bad's coming, right? And most people try and ignore that. So I think what it's taught me is to pay attention to what's happening and prepare for making tough decisions if you have to. Be very mindful and respectful of the people that you make just tough decisions about. So when I was talking to my staff, I was saying to them, you know how we've had some issues with different clients recently? Yep. I said, well, this is going to sound like bad news, and today it is bad news. Now, everyone in the office knew that bad news was coming, right? But to actually say this is bad news, and it is, people said, I didn't like the decision, but I liked the way that you actually delivered the information to us. And I've just found that's been invaluable working with clients, just being open, candid, having tough conversations with people, making tough decisions if they're needed. I hope I've been a benefit. Thank you for listening.